Hey guys, this is Kerry, and in this video we're going to take a look at building a shopping cart because that's what you guys asked to do. So I made this website last year and I added some stuff to it currently. I think it looks pretty authentic, like a website you might actually want to shop on. So let's go down here and buy some stuff. Now the problem is that our website doesn't have much interactability. When I try to add things to my cart, nothing shows up in the cart. And when I try to check out, I cannot check out. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building that functionality using JavaScript. So the file is actually pretty large here. It took a lot of CSS and a lot of HTML to get this looking right. But let's add some script tags to the bottom and start coding in JavaScript. So the first thing that we can think about are, let's select some of the important elements. And when we select those important elements, one that stands out to me is this checkout button. So I'm going to say let checkout equal document.querySelector, and the button that has checkout on it is the one with ID of checkout. It might take you a second longer to see that because I've wrote the code, so I actually kind of just know that automatically. So hashtag checkout. Now next up, we want to, let's see, select some other elements. So what are some of the other elements that we want to interact with on this page? Well, we want to interact with these add to cart buttons. And so all of those add to cart buttons actually have a class add to cart. So I'm going to use a variant of this document.querySelector function that we haven't seen before. So I'm going to say let, let add buttons equal document.querySelector. And instead of selecting one of them, I'm going to select all of the buttons that have the class dot add to cart. And I think you'll see why I'm going to select all of them at the same time in a second. Now the next thing is that there are a couple of important variables. So an important variable for this is the total cost here. It starts off at $0, so I'm going to say let total equal 0. And I'm not putting 0 in quotes because I'm not thinking about the word 0, the symbol 0. I'm thinking about the quantity 0, like that. And then next up, let's see. As I click this button, add to cart, it should be adding that item to this cart list, which is going to be an unordered list. So I guess I also need to select the cart list. So let cart list, let cart list equal document.querySelector hashtag cart list. And then if we're going to be adding these to the cart list, then our total should also be updating. So I also need to select this because that's going to be the thing that's updating. So let total, well, now I've got a problem. It's like I've got the total element here and the total value here. So I'm going to call this total value. And I'm going to say let total be the element itself that's going to display that. So let total equal document.querySelector hashtag total, hashtag total. And so that's going to select this element, total equals total $0, this element, which should display the total. So let's see, how do we build this up? So basically what we want to have happen is we want, anytime we click one of these buttons, to do something very similar. So rather than rewrite that code 6 times, because I selected all of those buttons, I'm going to use a function that you haven't seen before. So I'm going to say cart list is, okay, no, it's not cart list, it's the add buttons, that's all of those add buttons. So I'm going to say add buttons dot for each. And what this is going to do is it's going to take all of those buttons and it's going to do something for all of them. So in general, each one of these is a button. So I'm going to say take each button and do the following thing to it. And what I want to do to it is I want to take all of those buttons, each button, and I want to add an event listener to that button. And it's going to be when they click on the button, so they're listening for a click. Then the function that's going to be happening when you get the click is going to be a, let's see, when you click on the button, what do we want to have happen? Let's just start by alerting it, clicked, and just test out that functionality to make sure that this for each thing is working. So let's give it a save and a refresh. And now for all of these, when I click it, it should be alerting. And I notice that it's not actually alerting, so I must have made a mistake with my code. So let's take a look at the console. It says add event lister is not a function, so I must have misspelled it. Oops, add event listener. There we go. give it a save and a refresh. Sorry about the sizing on everything today. So that one gets clicked, that one gets clicked, that one gets clicked. So by using this for each loop, basically, it's taking all of the buttons, all the add buttons, and doing this to all of them. And that saves us a huge amount of time because rather than doing it to 6 buttons individually, we do it to all 6 at the same time. But I don't really want to alert click them. What I really want to do is I want to say, okay, if that button is clicked, add that item to the shopping list. So the first thing that's interesting is if you take a look at all of those buttons have some extra attributes that you haven't seen. They've got a class, but they also have an attribute called data-name and data-price. So I'm going to be using those attributes to update the cart. So what I want to do is I want to say, take the old cart list, or take the cart list and make it, the cart list is this unordered list here. Take that cart list and make it equal to whatever cart list was equal to before, but add on a list element whose inner HTML is going to be equal to, the thing in between the two list items is going to be equal to the thing that we clicks, name. So that's going to be whatever button was clicked dot dataset dot name. So when you define these attributes, they go into something called the dataset, and if we want to pick out the name one, then it's going to be this one. So let me just check to see if that's working before we do the next part. So when we add this to the cart, it doesn't work. So we go View, Developer, JavaScript Console, and let's see if we got an error here. It does not give us an error, so this is going to be a harder one to handle. Let's try this one more time. Nope, still not working. So what we want to do is we want to say cart list is equal to the old value cart list plus this plus the button.dataset.name and then that. This looks good to me. Did we define cart list correctly? Cart list is the unordered list with ID cart list. Let's just see if we can console.log button.dataset.name. And what that's going to do is it's going to make whatever this is appear in our console when we click it. And say crampons come on, because that's what that's called. Boots comes on, so that's what that's called. So that looks good. So it must be something wrong with our cart list. So cart list is equal to cart list plus. Oh, shoot, I know what it is. It's the cart list itself. We don't want to replace the cart list. We want to place the stuff inside of the cart list. So it's cart list.innerHTML is equal to the old value of the inner HTML, whatever was in there before, plus whatever new item we're adding. So let's just give that a save and a refresh. So now when we add it to our cart, we see each of those list items appearing inside of the cart. And that's pretty cool. And then next up, what we want to do is we want to, in addition to doing this, we also want to say whatever the total value was before, we want to add to that. So total value is equal to the old total value, the old cost, plus whatever the button that was clicks dataset dot prices value was. And then what we want to do with that total value is we want to insert it into the total element so that it looks like total is equal to something other than $0. So we'll say total is equal to, and it's not total, right? Same problem as before. Total.innerHTML is equal to the old inner HTML of total. No, it's not. Sorry. It's equal to total plus, we've got to include our $sign here, plus whatever that total value was. So we'll give that a save and a refresh. And now when we add it to the cart, oh man, we've got a big problem here. Instead of adding these like numbers, it's going to take 349.99 and add that as though it were a word to the back of this. So we haven't talked too much about the types of things in JavaScript, but if we want this to treat the total value as a number, then what we need to do is we need to say number like that. And we also need to say number here. And we need to say number here. And we just want to make sure that all of these things are numbers. And not all of those are actually necessary. but we basically are saying treat the total value as a number, not as a word. Treat the total value as a number. Treat the total value as a number. And we could fix that to make that a little neater, but you'll see that now the cart works properly. It actually adds those all on. So the last piece of functionality that we want to add is this checkout button, and that's the easiest one. So the checkout button is different from the add buttons, but we've already selected the checkout button. So the checkout button needs to get an event listener. It's also going to be listening for a click event. And when we click on that, the function that we want to run, you could probably just get this from the toolbox, but the function that we want to run is just to alert out, you are about to check out, the cost of your items is, and then a $sign plus whatever the total value was, plus maybe a period at the end. And I think this is going to work, so let's give it a save. So at first, if we try check out, we're about to check out, the cost of our items is $0. If we add the crampons, it's $210. If we add the hiking boots, it's $559. And obviously, like, you could improve some of these features, but in terms of having a cart that's somewhat functional, I mean, you can't buy anything, but somewhat functional, it's a very complete little web app. So I hope you found this video helpful. Sorry for the error in the video, but I think that actually illustrates a good point with programming, is that sometimes the errors are a little hard to catch, and you just need to take a step back and really make sure that you're doing the things you want to be doing. All right, so see you guys in class.